Rain slammed against the windows of the tiny chapel as Clara Bennett stood frozen at the altar, her trembling fingers clutching a bouquet she never wanted to hold. Across from her stood Sheriff Cole Maddox. Tall, cold, dangerous. His black cowboy hat shadowed his sharp eyes, while the silver sheriff badge on his chest glinted under candlelight. The entire town watched in silence. Nobody smiled. Nobody celebrated. Because everyone knew this wasn't a wedding. It was punishment. "Do you take Sheriff Cole Maddox as your husband?" the priest asked softly. Clara's throat tightened. Her eyes filled with tears. She looked toward the chapel doors one last time, praying someone would stop this. No one came. Her father sat in the front row, bruised and shaking after losing everything to gambling debts. Cole Maddox owned those debts now. And, tonight, he was collecting. Clara slowly turned toward the sheriff. His jaw tightened impatiently. "Answer him," Cole said coldly. The fear in her chest exploded. I do," she whispered. The priest barely finished the ceremony before thunder cracked across the sky. Cole grabbed her wrist firmly. "Move." The townspeople stared as he dragged her outside into the storm. Clara struggled against him. "You can't force me to love you." Cole opened the carriage door. "I don't remember asking for love." He shoved her inside. The carriage rolled through muddy streets while rain hammered the roof above them. Clara wiped her tears angrily. "You ruined my life." Cole sat across from her silently. Water dripped from the brim of his hat. His expression never changed. "Your father ruined it," he said finally. "You could have taken the ranch." "I did." Her breathing stopped. Cole leaned forward slowly. "And now I own everything attached to it." Clara looked away before he could see the fear in her eyes. The carriage finally stopped in front of Maddox Ranch. Massive, dark, lonely. Lightning flashed behind the enormous house sitting on the hill like a prison. Cole stepped out first before holding his hand toward her. Clara ignored it. The moment she climbed down alone, her dress caught under the carriage step and ripped violently. She nearly fell. Cole grabbed her waist instantly. Strong arms. Hard chest. Dangerously close. For one brief second, his cold eyes softened. Then it vanished. "Careful, wife." The word made her sick. Inside the mansion, silence filled every hallway. No warmth. No laughter. Only shadows. Cole removed his gun belt slowly and hung it near the fireplace. Clara's eyes widened nervously. He noticed immediately. "You think I'm gonna hurt you? You forced me into marriage." Cole stepped closer. That wasn't the question. Her heartbeat pounded painfully. He towered over her. Beautiful. Terrifying. A man every woman in town secretly desired and feared. "You should hate me," Clara whispered. Cole stared at her for several seconds. "I do." The answer hit harder than she expected. Clara swallowed painfully. "Then why marry me?" His eyes darkened. "Because men are hunting you." A chill ran down her spine. "What?" Cole walked toward the window. "Your father borrowed money from people worse than me." Lightning illuminated his scarred face. "If I hadn't married you tonight, they would have sold you by morning." Clara's knees weakened. No, they were already negotiating. Tears filled her eyes again. Cole finally looked back at her. "This town is ugly underneath the smiles, Clara." She shook her head slowly. "You're lying." "Am I?" Before she could answer, bang! A gunshot exploded outside. Clara screamed. Cole instantly pulled his revolver and grabbed her against his chest. Another bullet shattered the front window. Glass flew everywhere. "Stay down," Cole barked. Men shouted outside the ranch house. Clara trembled violently in his arms. Cole cocked the revolver calmly. His voice turned deadly cold. "They found you faster than I expected." He shoved her behind the couch. "No matter what happens, don't open that door." "What are you going to do?" Cole glanced back at her. For the first time all night, real emotion flashed in his eyes. Rage. Pure rage. He spun the revolver. "They want my wife." His jaw clenched. "They can die trying." The front door exploded inward. 3 armed men stormed into the ranch house through smoke and shattered wood. Clara screamed behind the couch. Cole fired instantly.
Bang!
The first man dropped to the floor. The second dove behind a table while the third ran toward the stairs. Cole moved like a predator.
Fast.
Precise.
Terrifying.
Another gunshot thundered through the house. The chandelier shattered above them. Clara covered her ears as glass rained across the floor. "Cole," she cried. "I told you to stay down." His voice echoed through the room while he reloaded calmly. One of the men grabbed Clara's arm suddenly from behind the couch. "There she is!" Clara fought desperately. "Let me go." The outlaw laughed darkly. "She's worth more alive." Before he finished,
bang!
Blood splattered across the wall. The man collapsed beside her. Cole stood across the room with smoke rising from his revolver barrel. His eyes locked onto Clara instantly. "You hurt." She shook violently. "And no." Cole grabbed her wrist. "We're leaving." "What about them?" "They won't stop coming." Outside, rain poured harder across the ranch. Thunder growled above the mountains as Cole pulled Clara toward the horse stable. More riders appeared through the darkness. At least 8 men. Clara's face turned pale. "Oh God." Cole shoved a rifle into her hands. "Can you shoot?" She stared at him in shock. "I've never touched a gun." "You learn fast tonight." Another bullet slammed into the stable door. Horses panicked wildly. Cole loaded his shotgun with terrifying calm. "You stay behind me." Clara's hands trembled around the rifle. "Why are they doing this?" Cole glanced toward the riders. "Because your father stole from the wrong man." "Who?" Cole's expression hardened. "Silas Kane." The name drained all color from Clara's face. Even she knew that name. Silas Kane, the most feared outlaw boss in the territory. Rumors said he burned families alive over unpaid debts. "You owe him money," she whispered. "No." Cole mounted his black horse. "He owes me blood." Gunfire exploded again. Cole pulled Clara onto the horse in front of him. "Hold tight." The horse burst through the back gate into the storm. Rain slashed across Clara's face while bullets flew past them in darkness. The riders chased close behind. "Faster," one shouted. Cole pulled the reins hard through muddy forest trails. Clara clung tightly to his chest, terrified. His heartbeat pounded steady beneath his soaked shirt. Not fear. Control. The sheriff wasn't running scared. He was calculating. Another rider appeared beside them suddenly. The outlaw grabbed Clara's dress violently. "She comes with us." Cole's eyes turned black with fury. He yanked the horse sideways and slammed the outlaw directly into a tree. Crack. The man dropped lifeless into mud. Clara gasped. Cole didn't even look back. "You kill too easily," she whispered shakily. His voice remained cold near her ear. "You survive by doing worse than your enemies." The chase continued deep into the mountains until finally, Cole stopped near an abandoned cabin hidden between cliffs. Rain poured from the roof while thunder shook the sky above. He jumped off first before helping Clara down carefully. The moment her feet touched the ground, her legs gave out. Cole caught her instantly. Strong arms wrapped around her waist. "You're safe," he muttered. Clara stared at him in shock. That was the first gentle thing he'd said all night. Inside the cabin, Cole lit an oil lamp. Warm light flickered across the small wooden room. One bed, one fireplace, nothing else. Clara wrapped her arms around herself, shivering violently. Cole noticed blood on her shoulder. His expression changed instantly. "You're hurt." She looked down. A piece of shattered glass had sliced through her skin during the shooting. "It's nothing." Cole stepped closer. "Sit." "I'm fine." That wasn't a request. Clara sat reluctantly near the fireplace while Cole opened an old medical box. He knelt in front of her slowly. The dangerous sheriff carefully rolled down her torn sleeve. His rough fingers touched her skin gently. Too gently. Clara watched him silently. "You've done this before," she whispered. Cole cleaned the wound quietly. "Too many times." "For who?" His jaw tightened. "My wife." The room fell silent. Clara blinked slowly. "You were married?" Cole nodded once. "What happened to her?" The sheriff stopped moving. Pain flashed across his face, so quickly Clara almost missed it. Then he finally answered. Silas, Cain murdered her. The fire cracked softly between them. Clara stared at Cole in stunned silence. He kept wrapping the bandage around her shoulder, without looking up. Careful, controlled. But his hands trembled slightly at the mention of his dead wife. I didn't know, Clara whispered. You weren't supposed to. Cole tied the bandage tightly and stood. The shadows from the fire danced across his scarred face. For the first time, Clara saw something behind the cold sheriff mask.
Grief.
Old and poisoned. How did she die? Clara asked softly. Cole walked toward the window. Rain hammered against the cabin roof, while distant thunder rolled through the mountains. She was pregnant. Clara's breath caught. Cole's jaw clenched hard. Silas wanted information about a robbery crew hiding near our ranch. His eyes darkened painfully. My wife refused to help him. The room suddenly felt colder. What did he do? Cole finally looked at her. The pain in his eyes nearly broke her heart. He made me watch. Clara covered her mouth. Cole turned away immediately, ashamed of the emotion showing on his face. For several seconds, neither of them spoke. Then, a weak laugh escaped Clara suddenly. Cole frowned. What's funny? Townspeople say you're heartless. His voice became cold again. They're right. No, she whispered. You loved someone once. Cole stared at the fire silently. That was my mistake. The tension between them thickened. Dangerous. Heavy. Clara slowly stood despite the pain in her shoulder. You married me to protect me. Cole grabbed his whiskey bottle from the table. I married you because Cain wants to hurt me. Clara shook her head. That's not the full truth. Cole drank quietly. You don't know me, Clara. I know lonely when I see it. His eyes snapped toward her instantly. That hit too close. Clara regretted the words immediately. The sheriff stepped toward her slowly. Large. Intimidating. The firelight made him look even more dangerous. You should stop trying to understand me. Why? Because men like me ruin women like you. Her heartbeat quickened. And what kind of woman am I? Cole's gaze slowly traveled across her face. Too intense. Too personal. Soft. The word barely left his lips. Clara swallowed nervously. No one's ever called me soft. That's because they wanted something from you. And you don't. Cole stepped even closer. Now only inches separated them. His deep voice lowered. I want you alive. The air between them burned. Clara could feel his breath. Feel the tension. Feel how badly this dangerous man fought himself every second around her. Then suddenly,
Bang.
the cabin door burst open. Cole spun instantly, pulling Clara behind him. An older man stumbled inside, bleeding heavily from his stomach. Sheriff, he gasped. Cole lowered the revolver slightly. Ela? The wounded man collapsed onto the floor. Clara rushed forward instinctively. Oh God. Cole knelt beside him. What happened? Eli coughed blood violently. Cain found your ranch. Cole's face hardened instantly. The men there are dead. Eli grabbed Cole's jacket weakly. He knows about the girl. Clara froze. Eli looked toward her fearfully. Cain says she belongs to him now. Cole's eyes turned murderous. He said that. Eli nodded painfully. And there's more. Cole leaned closer. Eli whispered something into his ear. The sheriff went completely still. Clara watched the color drain from his face. What? She asked nervously. Cole stood slowly. His entire body radiated fury. What is it? He looked at her with terrifying intensity. Your father's missing. Clara's heart stopped. No. Eli struggled to breathe on the floor. They took him. Tears filled Clara's eyes instantly. Why would they take him? Cole answered coldly. To trade for you. She backed away in horror. No, no. Cole grabbed his gun belt and rifle immediately. We leave now. In this storm, Cain wants you desperate. Cole loaded bullets calmly. He's already winning. Clara's voice broke. My father's going to die because of me. Cole suddenly grabbed her face gently. The touch shocked her. Listen carefully. His eyes locked onto hers. I won't let Cain touch you. Clara's tears fell harder. Why do you care so much? Cole stared at her for several painful seconds. Then his voice lowered. Because I failed once already. The words shattered her heart. Outside, thunder roared across the mountains. And somewhere in the darkness, Silas, Cain waited. The horses raced through the mountains before sunrise. Cold wind whipped across Clara's face while she held tightly to Cole's waist. Neither of them spoke, but she could feel the tension inside him growing darker with every mile. His body was rigid, focused, deadly. The closer they got to town, the more dangerous he became. Where are we going? Clara finally asked. Cole kept his eyes ahead. To find Cain's messenger. You know where he is? I know where men like him drink. The sun slowly rose over Black Creek town as they arrived. But something felt wrong immediately. The streets were empty. Shops closed. Windows boarded. Fear hung over the entire town like smoke. Clara looked around nervously. Why is it so quiet? Cole dismounted slowly. Because Cain was here. Suddenly, a woman screamed nearby. Clara turned toward the sound just as two drunken outlaws dragged a young waitress through the mud outside the saloon. Please let me go. The men laughed cruelly. One slapped her hard across the face. Cole's expression darkened instantly. Stay here. Before Clara could answer, the sheriff walked toward them. Slow.
Calm. Terrifying.
The outlaws recognized him immediately. Well, look who finally showed up, one sneered. Cole stopped directly in front of them. Let the girl go. The second outlaw smirked. Or what? Silence. Then,
bang.
Cole shot him straight through the knee. The outlaw collapsed screaming. The entire town froze. The second man reached for his gun. Too late. Cole smashed his revolver across the man's jaw and dropped him into the dirt. The waitress ran away crying. Clara stared in shock. Cole grabbed the wounded outlaw by the collar violently. Where's Cain? The man spit blood at his boots. Go to hell. Cole pressed the gun harder against his wound. The outlaw screamed in agony. I said where? To the old mill, he cried. Outside town. Cole released him coldly. The outlaw crawled away bleeding. Clara approached carefully. You could have killed him. Cole holstered his revolver. I still might. A nervous voice suddenly spoke behind them. Sheriff, an older shopkeeper stood nearby trembling. You shouldn't stay here. Cole frowned. Why? The man glanced around fearfully before whispering. Cain controls the town now. Clara's stomach dropped. What? The shopkeeper nodded shakily. He's got men everywhere. Half the deputies work for him. Cole's eyes narrowed dangerously. How many? Too many. Suddenly church bells rang wildly across town. Everyone panicked instantly. Doors slammed shut. People ran indoors. Clara looked around confused. What's happening? Then horses appeared at the far end of the street. At least 15 riders. All armed. All wearing Cain's black insignia. And in the center rode a man dressed completely in black. Older. Sharp-eyed. Smiling. Silas Cain. The entire town lowered their heads in fear as he approached slowly. Clara's breathing stopped. The outlaw boss looked even worse than the stories.
Cruel eyes.
Silver beard. Pure evil hidden behind a charming smile. Cain stopped his horse directly in front of Cole. Well now, he said smoothly. There's my favorite sheriff. Cole's hand hovered near his revolver. Careful. Cain chuckled softly. You always were dramatic. Then his eyes shifted toward Clara, and his smile widened. There she is. Clara felt sick instantly. Cain looked at her like property, like something already owned. She's prettier than her mother, he said casually. Clara froze. Cole's expression turned deadly. You stay away from her. Cain ignored him completely. You know, Cain continued, her father begged me to take the dead away. Clara whispered shakily. What did you make him do? Cain smiled. Nothing. Silence. Then, he offered you. Her world shattered. Clara stepped backward like she'd been stabbed. No. Cain laughed softly. Your father was very convincing. Tears instantly filled her eyes. Cole looked furious. You lying bastard. Oh, I'm telling the truth. Cain leaned forward in his saddle. He said she was worth far more than money. Clara broke completely. Her own father sold her. Cole noticed the panic attack immediately. Her breathing became uneven. Her hands trembled violently. Cain smiled at the sight. That fear suits her. Cole snapped. In one violent motion, he pulled Clara behind him and aimed his revolver directly at Cain's head. Every outlaw instantly aimed their guns at the sheriff. The street exploded with tension. One wrong move, and everyone dies. Cole's voice became ice cold. You mention her again.
Cain smirked.
You'll do what? Kill me in front of my men. The sheriff's finger tightened on the trigger. I've killed for less. Cain studied him quietly, then suddenly laughed. There he is. Cole stayed silent. The old Cole Maddox. Cain smiled darkly. The man who burned villages for revenge. Clara stared at Cole in shock. What? Cain's eyes glowed with cruel amusement. Oh, sweetheart, did he forget to tell you who he used to be? Cole's jaw tightened. Cain. He wasn't always a sheriff. The entire street went silent. Cain leaned closer. Your husband used to be worse than me. Clara stared at Cole like she didn't recognize him anymore. Rainwater dripped from the brim of his hat while the entire street waited silently. Tell me he's lying, she whispered. Cole never answered. That silence hurt worse than words. Cain smiled slowly. Oh, he didn't tell you? Shut your mouth, Cole growled. But Cain was enjoying this too much. Years ago, before the badge, Cole Maddox led the deadliest bounty gang in the territory. The townspeople avoided eye contact immediately. Fear spread across Clara's face. No. Cain nodded toward Cole. Women used to hide their children when he rode into town. Cole's hand tightened around the revolver. Cain. But then he fell in love. Cain laughed mockingly. Funny how love makes monsters weak. Clara looked at Cole desperately. Is it true? Finally. Cole lowered the gun slowly. Yes. Her heart shattered. You killed people? His eyes stayed cold. Yes. How many? Cole didn't answer. He didn't need to. The silence told her everything. Clara stepped backward, suddenly afraid of the man standing in front of her. Cain watched happily. That look on her face, he said softly. That's the truth finally sinking in. Cole turned toward Clara carefully. I'm not that man anymore. But you were. The pain in her voice hit him harder than any bullet ever could. Cole looked away briefly. That single reaction revealed more guilt than words. Cain smirked. You know the best part? He leaned forward on the saddle. Her father knew exactly who you were when he handed her over. Clara's tears fell instantly. Everything felt dirty now. The marriage, the protection, the way Cole looked at her. Was any of it real? Cain slowly removed a silver pocket watch from his coat. You recognize this, sweetheart? Clara froze. It belonged to her father. Where is he? She cried. Cain smiled darkly.
Alive.
For now. Cole stepped forward instantly. You touch him, and I'll bury every man you own. Cain's expression finally hardened. There's the animal again. The outlaws cocked their rifles. Tension exploded across the street. Then Cain raised one hand calmly. His men lowered their weapons slightly. I came to make a deal, Cain said. Cole narrowed his eyes. I don't make deals with devils. You did once. Silence. Cain looked toward Clara again. Come with me willingly. Cole's jaw tightened. And your father lives. Clara's face went pale.
No.
Cain shrugged casually. Otherwise, I start mailing pieces of him back to town. Cole instantly grabbed Clara's arm before she could panic further. She's not going anywhere. Cain tilted his head. You sure about that? Then he reached into his coat and tossed something into the mud. Clara looked down and screamed. It was her father's wedding ring, covered in blood. Her knees nearly collapsed. Cole caught her quickly. Cain watched with amusement. You have until sunset. He turned his horse slowly. After that, the old man dies screaming. The riders began leaving town behind him. But before Cain disappeared, he glanced back at Cole one last time. If you really loved this girl, his eyes darkened. You tell her what happened to your first wife. Then Cain rode away. Silence consumed the street. Clara slowly turned toward Cole.
Fear. Pain.
Confusion. What did he mean?
Cole said nothing.
Cole. His jaw clenched tightly. Not here. Tell me. The sheriff grabbed her hand and pulled her toward the saloon. Inside, the room emptied instantly when people saw him enter. Everyone feared Cole Maddox. Now Clara finally understood why. Cole locked the saloon doors behind them. She stepped away from him immediately. Don't touch me. The words visibly hurt him, but he hid it quickly. You need to hear this before Cain twists it. Clara folded her arms protectively. Then talk. Cole removed his hat slowly. For the first time since meeting him,
He looked exhausted. Broken.
my wife's name was Eleanor. Clara stayed silent. She wasn't supposed to die. What happened? Cole stared at the floor. Cain wanted information. I know that part. His breathing deepened painfully. So he took her. Clara felt sick already. Cole continued quietly. I found them 3 days later. His voice cracked slightly. That tiny crack destroyed her anger for a moment. She was still alive. Cole nodded once.
Barely.
Clara covered her mouth. What did they do to her? Cole's eyes slowly filled with rage and guilt. She begged me to save the baby first. Tears rolled down Clara's cheeks instantly. Cole looked completely destroyed by the memory. I tried. The room fell silent. Then Clara whispered the question carefully. And the baby? Cole closed his eyes. Neither survived. Pain swallowed the room whole. Clara's anger faded into heartbreak as she watched the dangerous sheriff trying not to fall apart in front of her. Then quietly, almost too quietly to hear, Cole whispered, She died in my arms, blaming me. Silence filled the saloon. Heavy. Painful. Clara couldn't stop staring at him. The ruthless sheriff everyone feared looked completely broken. Cole stood near the window with his head lowered, gripping the edge of the table so tightly his knuckles turned white. She blamed you? Clara whispered. Cole gave a small nod. Eleanor said loving me was the worst mistake she ever made. The pain in his voice nearly shattered her heart. Clara stepped closer carefully. You don't know if she meant that. I do. His answer came instantly.
Cold. Certain.
Cole finally looked at her. Cain came after her because of me. Clara's eyes softened. You were trying to protect her. And I failed. The guilt inside him was unbearable now. Years of hatred. Years of self-destruction. All hidden behind the sheriff badge. Clara suddenly understood something terrifying. Cole Maddox didn't hate the world. He hated himself. Before she could speak.
Bang.
The saloon doors burst open. Deputy Harris stumbled inside covered in blood. Sheriff. Cole grabbed him before he collapsed. What happened? Cain's men, Harris gasped painfully. They attacked the North Farms. Clara froze. They burned everything. Cole's eyes darkened instantly. How many dead? The deputy swallowed hard. 6. Rage exploded across Cole's face. He turned deadly calm. The kind of calm that comes before violence. Get the survivors to the church, he ordered. Harris grabbed his arm weakly. There's more. Cole frowned. Cain left a message. The deputy looked toward Clara fearfully. He says if she isn't delivered by sunset, the town burns next. Clara stepped backward in horror. No. Cole slowly stood. His entire presence changed.
Darker.
More dangerous. The old version of him was surfacing. Clara could feel it. Deputy Harris noticed too. His face went pale. You're not thinking about going after Cain alone, right? Cole loaded bullets into his revolver calmly. Yes. That's suicide. Cole holstered the weapon.
No.
Suicide is waiting. Clara grabbed his arm quickly. You can't fight all those men. His eyes met hers. I've done worse. Fear crawled through her chest again. Not fear of Cain. Fear of what Cole might become if he snapped completely. You said you changed, she whispered. Cole stared at her silently. Then finally, I lied. The words cut deep. Clara shook her head slowly. No,
I don't believe that.
Cole stepped closer. You should. His voice lowered. Because when I find Cain, pure hatred filled his eyes. I'm going to enjoy killing him. Clara's heartbeat quickened. Not because she feared him, because part of her understood why. And that terrified her even more. Outside, thunder rolled across town again. The deputy looked nervous. Sheriff, there's too many of them. Cole grabbed his black coat. Then they better start praying. He headed toward the doors. But Clara suddenly stood in front of him. You're not leaving me behind. Cole frowned immediately.
No.
Cain wants me. I'm coming. Absolutely not. I'm not hiding while people die for me. Cole grabbed her shoulders firmly. You think this is bravery? His voice hardened. This is war. Clara refused to back down. Then stop treating me like something weak. The words stunned him. For several seconds, Cole simply stared at her. Then slowly, something dangerous flickered in his eyes. Respect. You really want the truth? He asked quietly. Yes. Cole leaned closer. If you ride with me tonight, his rough fingers tightened slightly on her arms. You'll see exactly why people fear my name. A chill ran through her body. But Clara didn't move, didn't run. Instead, she whispered, maybe I'm tired of being afraid. The sheriff's breathing slowed. For the first time since meeting her, Cole looked at Clara like she was something impossible. Then suddenly, a loud cry echoed outside. Fire. Everyone turned toward the window. Smoke rose into the dark sky near the church. Women screamed in panic across town. Cain's men had started early. Cole cursed under his breath. Without another word, he grabbed Clara's hand and pulled her outside. Chaos exploded through the streets. Buildings burned. Horses ran loose. Armed riders fired into the air while townspeople fled screaming. Clara's heart pounded in terror. This is insane. Cole shoved a shotgun into her hands. Stay close to me. Gunfire erupted nearby. A masked outlaw charged directly toward Clara on horseback. Everything happened too fast. She froze. The rider raised his gun.
Bang.
Cole shot him off the horse instantly. The body slammed into the dirt beside her feet. Clara gasped violently. Cole grabbed her face roughly. Look at me. Her eyes locked onto his. You freeze again out here. His voice turned deadly serious. And you die. Then another scream echoed nearby. A little boy stood trapped beside a burning wagon while flames spread rapidly around him. Help, the child cried. Without thinking, Clara ran toward the fire. Clara! Cole shouted. The wagon suddenly collapsed. Flames exploded upward, and Clara disappeared inside the fire. Clara! Cole's scream tore through the burning street. Without hesitation, he charged straight into the flames. The heat slammed into him like a wall. Wood cracked overhead while smoke swallowed the air. Then he saw her. Clara shielded the little boy beneath her body beside the collapsed wagon. Fire spread rapidly around them. Cole grabbed the child first and shoved him toward safety. Run! The boy stumbled away crying. But before Cole could reach Clara, a burning beam crashed between them. Flames exploded upward. Clara screamed. Cole! Something inside him snapped completely. The sheriff kicked through the burning wood with pure fury, ignoring the fire tearing through his coat and skin. He reached her at last and pulled her violently into his arms. You stupid woman. Clara coughed through smoke. The boy. I know. The roof began collapsing above them. Cole wrapped his body around hers and forced his way through the flames. The second they burst outside, the townspeople stared in shock. Sheriff Cole Maddox, the ruthless monster of Black Creek, was protecting someone instead of destroying them. Clara looked up weakly. Cole's arm was badly burned. Blood ran down his face from falling debris. Yet he never loosened his grip on her. Then suddenly, slow clapping echoed through the smoke. Silas Cain rode into the burning street smiling. Well now, he said softly. Look at that. Cole slowly stood with Clara behind him. Kane's men surrounded the town from every direction, rifles raised, torches burning. The townspeople trembled in fear.
Kane looked amused.
You finally care about someone again. Cole's voice became ice cold. You should have killed me when you had the chance. Kane chuckled. I tried. Your wife got in the way. Clara saw the exact moment Cole lost control. All emotion vanished from his face. No pain. No hesitation. Only death. He handed Clara the revolver quietly. Stay behind me. Fear gripped her chest. Cole. But he was already walking forward. Straight toward Kane's army. Alone. The outlaws laughed nervously. Until Cole kept walking. Closer. Closer. Like a man with nothing left to lose. Kane's smile slowly faded. Shoot him, he ordered. Nobody moved. Every outlaw knew the legend of Cole Maddox. And now they were seeing the real man for the first time. Cole stopped in the middle of the street. Rain began pouring again through the smoke and fire. You wanted the monster back? He asked coldly. Lightning flashed across his scarred face. Here I am. Then chaos exploded.
Bang!
Cole shot the first outlaw directly between the eyes. Before the body hit the ground, he fired again.
And again.
And again. Pure violence consumed the street. Cole moved like death itself. Brutal.
Precise. Terrifying.
Outlaws dropped one after another while townspeople ran for cover. Clara watched in stunned horror as the sheriff became the man Kane described. The man entire territories once feared. A rider charged him from behind. Cole grabbed the outlaw off the horse and snapped his neck with his bare hands. Another fired at him. Cole shot him through the throat without even turning fully around. Rain mixed with blood across the dirt streets. Kane's men began retreating in panic. He's insane. Run. Within minutes, the army broke apart completely. Only Kane remained. The outlaw boss stared at Cole with growing fear. You always were a demon, Kane muttered. Cole walked toward him slowly, through smoke.
No.
His revolver clicked back. You made me one. Kane suddenly grabbed Clara from behind and pressed a knife against her throat. Everything froze. Clara gasped sharply. Cole stopped instantly. There she is, Kane hissed. Your weakness. Blood ran down Clara's neck from the blade. Drop the gun, Kane ordered. The sheriff's eyes locked onto Clara's. And something changed. The rage disappeared. Only love remained. Real love. The kind he thought died with Eleanor. Slowly, Cole lowered the revolver. Kane smiled triumphantly. I knew it. You'd burn the world for her. Then Clara did something unexpected. She stomped her heel down onto Kane's foot hard. The outlaw cursed in pain. Cole fired instantly.
Bang!
Silas Kane collapsed backward into the mud.
Dead.
Silence swallowed the town. Rain poured softly over the burning streets. Clara stood frozen, breathing hard. Cole walked toward her slowly. For a second, neither of them spoke. Then Clara touched the burn on his arm carefully. You came back for me. Cole looked down at her. I was never leaving you. Tears filled her eyes. You scared me tonight. A weak smile touched his lips. You scared me first. The townspeople slowly emerged from hiding. For the first time, they didn't look at Cole with fear. They looked at him with gratitude. But Cole only cared about one person. Clara stepped closer. You're not the man people say you are. Cole's eyes softened painfully. You still don't know all the things I've done. Maybe, she whispered. Her hand rested against his chest. But I know who you are when it matters. The sheriff stared at her silently as rain fell around them. Then finally, Cole pulled her gently into his arms and kissed her.
Slow. Deep.
Like a broken man finally finding something worth living for again. Far away, thunder rolled across the mountains. But for the first time in years, Sheriff Cole Maddox felt peace.